Good morning. This is Sandy Conkar with Surviving the Diagnosis, along with Peggy Mangan. And I would like to start out first by saying thank you for all the support that I've received this week with going through the challenges that I am with my mom. Um, so thank you and understanding that we didn't have the show for the last couple of weeks. One, I was on vacation, and then I got the news of my mom's illness. So we'll move through that a little bit more later on. But today, uh, we're here to discuss living with regret. And these are decisions that we make based on diagnosis as the caregiver, as the patient. And as we stated in our newsletter this past week, we have, um, we rely on the medical industry in some instances for the diagnosis and for the treatment and, just guidance. And we do the best we can as the caregiver, we do the best we can as the patient. And sometimes even with all the research that we do, we, we make the best decisions possible. And then after the illness, or we are put into a situation where the treatment is no longer doing the trick, then we start, doubting our decision and then having some regret. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And again, I'm Sandy Conkar. I'm the founder of caregiversandt.com, and I've been a caregiver for over 40 years. And but I more easily identify myself as a daughter, a mom, a wife, and a friend. So I've gone through many diagnoses and illnesses with everyone, and my purpose bringing to the show is that we're all affected by the diagnosis, and sometimes we forget that on the caregiver side of the equation because it's all focused around the patient. Um, but our emotions, excuse me, are just as vitally important to address as what the patient's going through, and that's what Peggy brings into the program. Hi, Peggy. Good morning. Peggy's on mute.
I'm unmuted.
There you
Okay,
go.
this is a standing joke. Standing joke. But anyway, I'm here. And good morning, everyone. I'm Peggy Mangan, and I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a mom. I'm a grandmother. And I'm a cancer survivor. So a lot of the things we talk about, I've gone through not only for myself, but friends, family. Um, it seems that it's all around us, and um, I've also been touched on the caregiver side too. So we'll have a pretty poignant discussion for you today. And Sandy, do we have a lead off, or what do you want to do here?
Well, what we typically do is, excuse me, and anyone that's listening that would like to uh, join our community and come on the show live, you can through survivingthediagnosis.com. And if you'd like to be live on the air with us, and so we can work with you one-on-one and help you reduce some of the emotions, the stress levels of the emotions that you're feeling around situations, you will need to have a Google Gmail account, and that's free. So you just go to Gmail or Google Gmail and set up your own free email account, and then you can like us, survivingthediagnosis.com, and we'll add you to the circles and then send out a reminder on Monday morning of the show. And if you choose to be live on the air, then I'll send you a specific link so you can get onto the panel. And it sounds a little cumbersome, but it's really very simple. And if you have any questions, you can email us at hello@survivingthediagnosis, and I would be happy to send you out the step-by-step. instructions, but it's fairly simple.
Sure.
And also to sign up for our newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out regularly, and we base our first half of our discussion or first part of our show on that newsletter. And today is Living with Regret. And again, what I mentioned earlier is when you are the caregiver or the patient and you make a decision, there's a part of you that starts to doubt your decision. Am I doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? Did we make the right decision? Are we listening to the right people? Those all bring on anxiety. They bring on fear when they don't turn out to be the right decision. Um, the guilt sets in. And in our newsletter, we talked or mentioned, I'm going to bring up the newsletter, so bear with me here. Her name is Elizabeth.
Kubler-Ross?
Yeah, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And that is, the last name is K as in kite, U, B as in boy, L-E-R, dash Ross, R as in Robert, O-S-S. And Peggy, you can describe a little bit more on her work, but she's well known for her extensive research into the grieving process and the different stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And one thing that that isn't exact. They're not in any particular order. Is what I'm trying to say. You can feel though you can go into those just very randomly. You can go into those for long periods of time. And what we do with the tapping, the EFT, the emotional freedom work, that emotional freedom techniques work that we do, helps reduce the anxiety around all of that. So, but Peggy, you have a little bit more in-depth training in her work than I do, so I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Okay, sure, Sandy. Yeah, well, as a registered nurse, we do a lot of grief counseling and try to assess where the patient is in that grieving. And when I say grieving, when a person gets a diagnosis, they're grieving. They grieve for the loss of their health. They're grieving for the loss of their flexibility in the space around them. They're doing a lot of grieving. So, as Sandy said, usually it's denial, the first stage, and that can be witnessed in any illness. Say, for instance, my husband got a pretty bad cold about a week ago, 2 weeks, and for the first day or two, he just said, "Nah, I'm fine. I don't have anything." Well, about day 3, he had a full-blown nasty cold, and so that's the first phase. You do go through this denial thing, and like Sandy said, these steps and stages can be intertwined. They can be out of order. Anger is huge. Anger, you're mad at everybody and everything. Every healthy person you see walk by you, you're mad. Why me? Why not them? The random order of things. It could have been them, but it's me. So that's the anger, and bargaining. Sometimes when you set in to accept the denial and anger, I would say depression kind of gets in there before bargaining, and I think depression kind of coincides with all the other stages. It's pretty common to have depression through the whole process, but and then acceptance. That's you have peace in your heart about what's going on. My husband accepted his cold. And he was pretty peaceful about it, except somewhat cranky. But and the bargaining, he said, well, maybe if I do this and do this, we'll be able to go up to the graduation party that we've been looking forward to doing. And so he was bargaining with all kinds of remedies, and me. Well, what do you think? Should I use this? If I do that, we can go to the graduation party. I won't even have a stuffy nose. Well, he sounded like a bullfrog. Couldn't hide it. So that was bargaining. That was, if I do this, maybe that will happen. And in reference to any illness that we get, it's especially accentuated with severe illness because people, bargaining, denial, and all that is very much accentuated. And you may have, well, I'm going to give an example of myself since I went through all this. Bargaining, gosh, I just wanted to get to Christmas. And that was a huge thing for me. My family had my daughters had, my one daughter had just built a fabulous, fabulous house out in Virginia, and I said, I just want to go see that house, and I want to go to Christmas. Well, lo and behold, I went to Christmas. Then I wanted a summer. So that's how you do the bargaining. And depression, holy moly, yeah, I went through, it was pretty oppressive for a while. And then I learned EFT, and I went to a life coach, and she so helped me get through that depression, and what I call dumped my stuff, which was, depression, the trauma of the treatment. It was pretty extensive, a lot of painful procedures, and that's traumatic. So that allowed me to dump that, and then fear of recurrence was a huge thing for me as well. So I was kind of incapacitated for a while, in that I couldn't move on. And then they told me when I got out of that unit for the transplant that you will be back here within a year, 3 months to a year, and there's no recourse, there's no more remission. As a matter of fact, no more chemo. There was nothing else they could do. So yeah, it's a Kubler-Ross really did nail these feelings that the patient goes through. She really did. And again, it could start out as depression. I mean, the third one could be denial. Rarely do people go right to acceptance. When John was feeling yucky about his cold, he couldn't just say, okay, I have a cold and I'm sick. Nope, he had to use denial pretty much. So, and bargaining about it. So that said, Sandy, we've got some other tools, but I think that the tapping on this situation, my husband not a tapper, so I tapped for his cold. Mm-hmm. It sounds like I got it, but I did not. I've had
That's good. I was going to ask you about that because you sounded a little stuffy. So
yeah, I had an asthma attack actually.
Oh,
up here in Michigan on the lake, we get a lot of spiders, and we sprayed for spiders, and that just didn't go well with my lungs. So anyway, the things you acquire with chemotherapy, but it's one of those things, and I should have known better and left home for a week. But anyway, so that's basically the stages of grieving, and I just lump it into grieving, because a lot of people call it the stages of illness. A lot of people call it the stages. Kubler-Ross was big into death and dying, and that's where she just described these steps. And it can be applied to a lot of situations. Um,
I think even in relationships,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Ending
it's
a relationship.
it's everything. We go through all these stages, and I think that that's
Exactly.
important for people to understand that what you're feeling and experiencing is, I'll say, quote unquote, normal. But you'll have tools that we provide you to move through these stages so more easily and more quickly. So you're not in the trenches for quite so long sometimes. It's, with the situation with my mom. I mean, it would have been very easy this morning to just say, no, I need another day. And I thought of, well, the show must go on. And I
And
basically,
I admire you for that.
you
Yeah.
know, but
And I know we would all understand if you didn't.
yeah, but I mean, the show must go on, and a lot of people move really, uh, what do I want to say, push through what they're experiencing just to, the show must go on. And again, I want to say thank you for everyone's understanding that last week the show couldn't go on. And today, I just felt that, yeah, it would have been easier to say no, but I really wanted to get back into the saddle again and get moving forward. So, but it would have been all right, if you don't, if it doesn't, if you don't feel that you're able to move forward, allow yourself that time. And people that may judge you or say, well, that isn't right. Well, that's their stuff. It's not yours. So you need to do what's best for your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, all the levels, the emotional, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual levels of care is so important. Um, but I also wanted to mention today, or yesterday actually, was uh, I'm trying to find it here. It was Survivors Day. National
Cancers,
Cancer
yeah.
Survivors Day was yesterday, and I want to say that you're watching. If you just joined us, you're watching SurvivingTheDiagnosis.com and Google's Hangout. We're here every Monday for the most part at 10 a.m. And also that on we have open discussions. The four the four Mondays of the month, and the last Monday of the month we always have a guest on. And I want to thank Karin Davidson, who was scheduled to be our guest the last Friday of May, and we are going to reschedule with her due to the situation I was in. So I want to thank her for her understanding and compassion, and also that our upcoming guests for June, the last Friday of the month, I believe I don't have my calendar in front of me, Peggy, but I believe it's the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is Deborah Miller, and she uses EFT with incredibly ill children and working with their parents in Mexico. And she has written several books, and they've just been released, and they are also in English and Spanish, correct, Peggy?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's see.
two different languages, and I believe it's Spanish. She will be on June 30th, Monday, June 30th. So if you'd like to receive a reminder, again, go to Surviving the Diagnosis, just opt in, and you will receive that information and reminder. Um, and just honoring the National Cancer Survivors Day. This is a long haul. It's road to go down, and it's very challenging. It has many ups and downs, and to come out on the other end like you have, Peggy, is a celebration. and living in freedom and peace and just living life again. And I think that that's just a phenomenal goal, and reaching that goal, it should not be taken lightly. So congratulations to all the survivors. And so let's see, what can we do to do the what do we want to do as far as some tapping maybe? Like Peggy's having a little bit of trouble.
Little
There we
technical
go.
difficulty.
Okay, all righty.
This computer, when it says I want my battery, it means it.
It means
So
it, yeah.
I had to go plug it in. But anyway, what did you say to me? I'm sorry.
Just do some tapping around the living with regret. Do you have any topic that you want to address that we can do? It's about almost about 25 after 10, so we could start doing some tapping around that. And if anybody has any questions or comments, you can go to survivingthediagnosis.com/live, and you can post your questions there, or you can go to our Facebook page, Surviving the Diagnosis, click on the live hangout orange and white icon just below our banner, and you can add your comments and questions there as well.
Right, right. Let's see. What would I have? Oh, there's so many regrets, when you're getting treatment and that sort of thing. Um, you want to tap on one of my issues?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I did some shopping when I was going to get my transplant. And I went to two very prominent cancer centers in the Detroit, Ann Arbor area in Michigan. And I ended up going with U of M. But first of all, I went to Carmano's Institute, Cancer Institute, and had the initial workup and the blood work and all that. And all of my SIBs got tested, and lo and behold, uh, none of them matched. And it was quite expensive. But when I got to U of M, the hematologist that I worked with there wanted to test them again, and with the hope that perhaps I would have a match to have the allogeneic transplant, which would have been with a sibling. And I chose not to do that because I didn't want them to incur any more of those large fees to have this testing done. And I have 4 SIBs, and they're all working, and life throws people their little snowballs of problems, and everybody, is buying a house or doing something like that. And it was during the really rough economical time. So one husband was laid. I mean, it was just, financially, I thought, no, they don't need to go through that again. Well, I wish I had. I regret not having them tested again because I could have had possibly a match. And as it turned out, I used my own cells, allogeneic transplant. And that's where they harvest your stem cells after a couple weeks of prepping your bone marrow. What they do there is actually, John injected me. I was willing to let him do that because he needed to be a part of this whole thing. And what that does is build up your stem cells in your bone marrow, And then what they did was um, hook me up to a machine where the blood came out one side, went into this big phoresis tumbler. Well, it looked like a washing machine tumbler, and it spun around, and we could watch the stem cells being collected along the side of this machine. And these were my own. I was glad to get rid of them because it kind of hurt having my bone marrow all puffed up with stem cells. So anyway, that's how I use my own. But getting back to my winded answer, I just simply wish I had had that retesting in the event that they could have maybe found that my SIBs, one of them, was a match.
Okay. All right. And when you think of that today, on a 0 to 10, what is the level of that regret that you would say now?
Um, Looking at it now, and we all know that I've had a very long remission, and it's been wonderful.
Mhm.
8.5 years. It's not as high as it was right afterwards, but I would say it's 7.
I'm sorry, it's what?
It's a 7.
Oh, okay. All right. And where do you feel that regret in your body right now?
My chest.
Okay. And in your, how does your chest feel? What is it heavy? Is it um, tight?
Yeah,
Kind
it's kind of anxious. It's kind of an anxious feel. Yeah, that's how it feels. It's anxious.
of anxious. Okay. So is that fluttery or heavy?
Kind of fluttery.
Okay. And this is something that our listeners, I'll invite them to do and write down in your journal what you're feeling as far around your regret and putting your starting number of 0 to 10 of what your the intensity is around having that regret, and then seeing how you know you have that, because your body is talking to you somewhere. And if you feel that it's all over, that's great. You can say all over. Um, but but sometimes it's better if you could scan your body and see where it sits more prevalently than just all over. But if not, all over is okay. And then just seeing identifying how it feels, how the chest feels. These are all steps in before you start tapping. It's like the setup kind of deal. So you can gauge yourself as you move through your tapping routine. Um, and really, as you do it and you have more practice at it, it's just real quick. Just write it down real quick and get on with it. So it takes a little bit longer because we want to educate you in how to do the tapping correctly so you benefit the most from it. Um, Though again, we're not here to diagnose, prescribe, or treat, but if you can bring down that intensity, it will release. It'll just free up your body because, as Peggy has said many times on the show, is that when you are in the fight or flight mode, and you usually are in that when you're in a tense situation or you haven't released that tension, then your body doesn't have a chance to relax and it doesn't have a chance to kind of breathe and allow your body to heal. You're always, with shoulders up by your ears kind of feeling and tense, and uh, that just it just becomes your new normal, and things start to hurt and ache and all that.
Sure. Yes.
So we'll do some tapping, and again, if you start out at a 7 and you go up in intensity, always remember to continue to tap and bring that down until you're back at your original number or below. Never just stop tapping if it goes up. it doesn't always go, you know, it's very seldom that it goes back up, but on occasion it can. But always remember to continue to tap
Right.
to at least bring that back down. So we'll start on the karate chop. Again, you can go to survivingthediagnosis.com and opt in, and you will receive a copy of the tapping diagram. And it's also in the newsletter, or it's in the newsletter, a link to it, and also it goes out with a reminder every week too. So you'll have that available to you when you're watching the show and tapping along. So that there's a lot that's available to you. So remember, go to survivingthediagnosis.com. We provide a lot of great free information for you.
Yes,
So
we do.
let's get started here. So tapping on the karate chop. And again, if my words are not yours, definitely just hop in and make them your own. Because this
Okay.
is all for you. Even
Okay.
though
Even though
I have some regret
I have some regret
that I didn't have that retest
that I didn't have that retest
almost 8.5 years ago.
almost 8.5 years ago.
I deeply and profoundly
I deeply and profoundly
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
Even though I have some of this regret,
Even though I have some of this regret,
and it seems to be quite a bit still.
and it seems to be quite a bit still.
You wouldn't think I'd have that much after 8.5 years.
You wouldn't think I'd have that much after 8.5 years,
But I do,
but I do,
and it's a fact.
and it's a fact.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
I deeply and profoundly accept who I am.
Even though I regret not having that retest,
Even though I regret not having that retest,
I deeply and completely accept who I am.
I deeply and completely accept who I am.
Okay, so on the eyebrow point, this regret.
This regret,
On the side of the eye, this continued regret.
this continued regret,
Under the eye, this regret.
this regret,
Under the nose, all this regret I hold on to.
all this regret I hold on to.
All this regret I'm holding on to.
All this regret I'm holding on to.
I have a lot of this regret.
I have a lot of this regret.
Under the arm, this regret.
This regret.
And the top of the head point, this regret.
All this regret.
On the eyebrow point, this regret.
This regret.
Side of the eye, this regret.
This regret.
Under the eye, this regret of not having the retest.
This regret of not having the retest.
Under the nose, this regret not having the retest.
This regret of not having the retest.
Chin point, this regret not having the retest.
This regret of not having the retest.
And the collarbone point, this regret not having this retest.
This regret of not having the retest.
Okay, taking a deep breath. And release it. Now that was just kind of a generic tapping around, you know, very general around the regret, and we're just tuning into the original 7. Did you have any shift? And it's okay if you didn't.
Yeah, well, I think I had a somewhat. What keeps coming into my mind is, you know, you can't have a do-over, and you messed it up. You missed it.
Okay.
And not that, you know, again, I'm in remission, and that's wonderful.
Right.
But at the time, they told me the only chance for cure would be that matching sibling.
Okay.
And, you know, so that kind of haunts me.
Okay. So let's tap on the eyebrow. All this regret
All this regret
of not having the retest.
of not having the retest.
I can't have a do-over.
You can't have a do-over.
And they say that without that test,
They say without that allogeneic transplant, Well, okay. If they would have been a match, then I would have had the different transplant.
Okay. All right. So without that test,
Without that test,
they said it wouldn't work.
they said it wouldn't work.
And I've been here for 8.5 years.
And I've been here for 8.5 years.
Under the arm. So I don't really know
So I don't really know
what they mean by it won't work.
what they mean by it won't work.
Even though I have that regret,
Even though I have that regret,
I'm here.
I'm here.
It worked,
It worked,
in my opinion.
in my opinion.
So I still hold on to the fact
Still holding on to the fact
that I didn't have that retest.
that I didn't have that retest.
Because their voice is in my head
The voices in my head
that says that it's not going to work.
that said that it's not going to work.
Yeah, they say it's not going to work.
They say it's not going to work.
They said it's not going to work.
They said it's not going to work.
So I have the regret
I have the regret
that I can't have a do-over.
that I can't have a do-over.
I missed it.
I missed it.
I missed the opportunity
I missed the opportunity
to heal and get better.
to heal and get better.
I missed that opportunity.
I missed that opportunity.
Although
Although I am well.
I am well.
Yeah, although I am well.
But I still have that voice in my head.
And I still have that voice in my head.
And maybe that's what I need to release.
And maybe that's what I need to release.
And not so much the regret.
And not so much the regret.
Because voices are very powerful.
Because voices are very powerful.
Words are very powerful.
Words are very powerful.
And I'm choosing to release their words.
And I'm choosing to release their words.
That what I chose to do
What I chose to do
actually did work.
actually did work.
Because I'm still here.
Because I'm still here.
And even all my tests
Even all my tests
show I'm healthy.
show I'm healthy.
I don't have any more cancer.
I don't have any more cancer.
I am healthy.
I am healthy.
So their words have no room in my head.
So the words have no room in my head.
So I can release them now.
I can release them now.
They're not serving me well.
They're not serving me well.
They're just putting doubt in my mind.
They're just putting doubt in my mind.
And they've been holding on to my regret.
And they've been holding on to my regret.
So I am releasing those words.
So I am releasing those words.
That's their diagnosis.
That's their diagnosis, prognosis.
That's their prognosis, and that's their belief.
And that's their belief. And I just want to, I've had some kind of shift here where I realize now that it's their words to me saying there is no cure for this and it will come back. And so I just need to get rid of their words.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So just take a deep breath. And just see how that's feeling now. Just the regret alone, just the regret itself.
The regret is down to 3.
Okay.
I certainly have gotten 8.5 wonderful years, so there's no regret there.
And how is your chest?
Still a little bit there.
Okay.
But that could be the asthma.
Okay. All right, and that's true. It could be that. So, um, is it regret? Then that 3 is still the regret. So let's tap on the eyebrow and release that. The releasing the remainder regret.
Okay, releasing the remainder regret.
Side of the eye, releasing the remainder regret and words.
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 Under the nose, releasing the remainder regret and words.
Releasing the remainder regret and words.
On the chin point, releasing the remainder regret and words.
Releasing the remainder regret and words.
On the collarbone, releasing the remainder regret and words.
Releasing the remainder regret and words.
Under the arm, releasing the remainder regret and words.
Releasing the remainder regret and words.
And then top of the head, releasing the remainder regret and words.
Releasing the remainder regret and words, excuse me.
And then just taking a real deep breath. And just check back into the original regret.
It's down to a 1.
Okay. All right. And
It
how's
was
your chest?
my chest. I just took a very, very comfortable deep breath. So it's not a factor.
Okay. All righty. So I'd like you to place your hand over your heart. I'd like you to tap on the 9 gamut, which the 9 gamut is on the back of the hand between the ring finger and the little finger knuckles, between the tendons here. And you just tap very lightly. But you lay your hand over your heart. And just releasing the remainder regret.
Releasing the remainder regret.
And all the words that are attached to it.
And all the words that are attached to it.
Releasing all the remaining regret.
Releasing all the remaining regret.
And the words that are attached to it.
And the words that are attached to it.
Okay. Taking a deep breath. Okay. And just see if that 1 has moved anymore.
Yeah, I'm totally comfortable.
Okay, good. And it's okay if the 1 didn't move, because again, I want to let everyone know that as you're tapping and you get to a 1 or a 2, sometimes that won't budge, and that's okay, because it takes about 24 hours for your body's energy system to, what I call, recycle itself. So you've moved all this trapped energy, all this blocked energy, and now it just may need to process and move up and out. You can become a little lethargic. You can just kind of be a little lackadaisical. So you want to be aware of that. You want to give yourself, hydrate yourself throughout the day is best to do, and to though I'm not prescribing water, but hydration is good just in general. And also, if you find that you need to lay down for a few minutes, to allow yourself that, or just sitting in a comfy chair, just relaxing, giving yourself some me time is important, just to process it. So just there were 2 aspects that came up, Peggy, when you had your shift, and that is I can't have a do-over, and you missed it. How do those 2 things feel at the moment?
At the moment I'm healthy. I'm productive. I'm working. It couldn't be any better for me. So I think.
So we asked the universe, how can it get any better than this?
How does it get any better than this?
Yeah.
And I think those were part of the training, if you will, when I left the bone marrow transplant unit at the university, that it would come back, and it was kind of like a written in stone guarantee. But boy, oh boy, it hasn't yet, so I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well,
And
I
thank you,
want.
Sandy. That was great.
Oh, well,
I
you're
didn't
welcome.
realize I didn't realize I had that issue. And as I sat here, I remained on the triple warmer here, the 9 gamut, as Sandy said, or the gamut, and I'm feeling the release even more. The yawn I just had, the relaxation I'm feeling, it's all good.
Wonderful. Good.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. And it's a great example that, you can release the regret from years ago. It doesn't have to be a regret that is a current thing. And sometimes working with current too soon can be overwhelming. So um, you want to honor whatever your body needs and give it time for healing and processing information, because sometimes it just comes in little waves, and sometimes you get the big pipeline from the North Shore of Hawaii. you know
Mm.
so it's you
A
know
divine download.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, what the hell just happened here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What's that cartoon, the Roadrunner, when they spin around? Or no, it was the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
you know so
Woo!
yeah, exactly. So, but I wanted to mention again, you're watching survivingthediagnosis.com. I'm Sandy Conkar, along with Peggy Mangan. We meet here every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Unless there is technical difficulty or family issues. So thank you for your understanding again. And I just want to say we're having Deborah Miller on. She's a PhD in cell and molecular biology on the 30th of June. And if you would like to come and listen to her stories and her experience and more about her two books, please go to survivingthediagnosis.com/Miller, and you'll be able to opt in for the reminder of her show. And her beautifully illustrated book, The Dragon with Flames of Love, is dedicated to empowering parents and children facing the challenge of a serious illness in a way that provides relief and peace. And Green Drink, Red Drink, which provides information and recipes on how to add healthy greens to your meals. And she has written this, printed this up in both English and in Spanish. So we're very much looking forward to Deborah's um, appearance on the show.
Yeah,
And
and
that,
Sandy, just look at this beautiful graphic. This is so beautiful and it's so touching. Uh, so many of the pictures in here, the artist that did this book just caught the whole feeling around um, these children and their health issue with cancer. And
yeah,
boy, it's an amazing book, and it's at Amazon.com. And again, it's for children that are ill, and it teaches. There's actually a teaching script in here for many situations, a tapping script,
mhm,
and just look at this little boy's face. I mean, and there's Tappy Bear, which she brought to all the children at the hospital, and she said they're getting a little well worn, but they sew them back up and sanitize them and give them to other children. Um, and this is just a wonderful work that she's doing down there in Oaxaca. Um, and again, we're going to have her, and uh, again, we're going to promote this book probably next week also.
mhm.
And It's on Amazon.com. She's also taking donations on her site for people uh, to donate these books for the kids that are coming in. And I plan to do that. One donation was like 15 books. I can't afford that, but shoot, it's it's well worth it. I'm trying to think. DeborahMiller.com, is it, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay, DeborahMiller.com, and even if you can only afford one book, one child will get this book, and it's very, very powerful to read. And again, she is a wonderful person. She is just awesome doing this work with these kids. So just wanted to give a real good promotion on that book.
Yeah, and the specific topic that we'll be talking about is an intimate discussion after diagnosis, how to speak to your blood cells. So again, you can go to survivingthediagnosis.com/Miller and opt in for her show, and also just on survivingthediagnosis.com as well. So whatever page you're on, you can get to the information. And I would also like to thank our sponsor, Moira Hutchinson, who is a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She sponsors our shows, and her website is hypnosisforcancercare.com. And you can, when you go to survivingthediagnosis.com, you'll see her banner that is there 24/7. All you have to do is click on it, and we'll take you right over to her website. She was one of our guests she was our guest in March, and did a wonderful guided imagery. And she offers in her she provides a free guided imagery, and that was very enjoyable as well. So, but we're coming close to the end of the show, and I'd just like to say that if you're finding that you're benefiting from the show, we would love to hear your comments. If you have any questions that we could answer specifically to your needs, we would love to help you out, because that's what we're here for. If there's a tapping topic that we haven't touched on that you would like us to walk through and demonstrate, if you didn't want to be on the show, we'll be happy to do that, and you can tap along as you watch. The other thing is, if you want to be on the panel but you don't want to be on live, you want to keep your anonymity, you can do that. You don't need to be on camera. We can just hear the audio, and that's perfectly fine as well. So, and it's nice that it's from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go anywhere.
Exactly.
And if you want more one-on-one attention in an intimate group, we are offering our membership site right now. To become a chartered member, it's only $27 a month. You'll get training. You'll get Peggy and I bi-weekly, first Tuesday of each month and the third Thursday of each month. We come together as a small group, and we work on your stuff, on everybody's stuff. And
everybody has stuff.
And we all have stuff, no matter how, as long as you're alive, you have stuff.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And there's no judgment. It's based on what your need is in the moment. And so, if I'll tell you that when my son had his accident and I was in a support group, the support group was wonderful. The thing is I didn't feel that I deserved to be there complaining, because I was listening to other parents who were so much more challenged in my mind at that time, that I had nothing to complain about. But after the fact, and it's hindsight now, and that's what really started me with caregiversanity.com, and was because it was like my needs were just as important. no
Yes.
matter, and so I made that judgment on myself that mine weren't as important as somebody that was, you know, caring for their child 24/7. My son fortunately was very independent after the accident quite quickly, but that was a blessing for us, but it didn't negate the the challenges that we were all going through. So I just want to let caregivers understand that your emotions and challenges are just as important as anyone else's, no matter what level you
Absolutely.
are. So, um, and if there's anything just last minute, Peggy, before we close?
Yeah, well, to mention the patient end of it as well. I have so many people, that I talk with, and when they hear my story, and I do counsel cancer patients, and they say, "Oh, well, mine was not nearly," but yes, it was because it happened to you, and you are the one experiencing it. So, don't come out, don't have Sandy, I'm losing my words. Don't hold back on coming to our show because you think, oh, I can't compare to their situation. Well, we're here to help you, and no matter what situation we're all in.
Hmm.
So we want to help you,
Yeah,
and we can.
yeah. There isn't any reason to hold on to that. So,
No, no.
and if you have any comments or questions after the show, feel free to email us at hello@survivingthediagnosis.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions and help you the best we can. Um, And so, as we always do, we leave you with a message for your week, and that is that you are not alone. Your dreams and your desires are always within you and within reach, and you can choose to live in freedom and peace. So, everyone, I hope you have a great week. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.